Welcome everybody to another episode of Review Please Anime Edition. I am the one of the co-hosts, Ell. As always, I have my other co-host here, Jesus. How's it going?
How's it going now? So I'm gonna critique you real quick on this introduction.
Oh,
okay,
God.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Coming up for a review. No. But everybody, thanks for joining us today. Like you said, in this episode we're going to be reviewing the anime that I picked for the month of April, which was season 1 of One Punch Man. And this is going to be, I can already tell this is going to be a very interesting review. It might be the shortest review in history. No. And
all right, let's just get to it then. If the anime sucks, we're done.
And it just cut right here, just at the end. No, but yeah, I have a couple of things that I think are interesting, because before we get too deep into it, I think I'm actually really interested in to hear your thoughts and opinions, even though I know a couple of them. But I'm going to be interested because I feel like I'm going to come in with these almost philosophical-esque types of things, but I digress. Before we get started, let me just give a quick little synopsis for the viewers at home here of One Punch Man. If you're unfamiliar with it, it has 2 seasons, but of course for this one we're reviewing season 1. One Punch Man, it tells the story of Saitama, who is a superhero who can defeat any opponent with a single punch, but he grows bored with that because he is too strong that he does not have a challenge. He eventually joins what's called the Hero Association, and it's a ranking system of the most powerful heroes to the least powerful heroes in the city. I think it's basically takes place in Japan, if I'm correct.
It's like a fake world.
Fake, yeah.
Sort
fake
of.
world.
I guess it's real. I don't know. There's only like one city, right? Something like that. So
yeah, it's one city that's divided into, well, it's like one big country that's divided into cities. You have like city A, city C.
B. Yeah.
And so also kind of put in a system to where the most desirable places to live, as far as like where most of the people live, and then other places that are more dangerous, and so on and so forth. But it's about Saitama, who is on this journey to find the thrill of being a superhero and finding a worthy opponent. Now, before we get too deep into it, what are your top level thoughts, Jesus?
Oh man, so I've been telling you this for weeks now. Anytime I can tell you this and just be like, man, I don't like One Punch Man. There's no even me like trying to like beat around the bush with this. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It doesn't really do anything for me in terms of like story. I don't care about anything that's happening. I don't think it does a really good job of establishing what the stakes are for any of the characters. They have like self-contained stakes within each episode, but like the overarching story, it just whatever to me. I don't care about any of the characters, and I think that also goes back to not caring about whatever this overarching plot is supposed to be. I don't really care about Saitama's history. I don't care that he's bored and wants to find a worthy opponent. It's not interesting to me. And then finally, the humor doesn't resonate with me. I know there's a lot of humor in this, and let me pull back too. Like, I understand why people like this anime for pretty much all the opposite reasons of what I just said. I fully acknowledge that and fully understand that. But like, yeah, the plot, the character, and the humor just doesn't hit with me. It just doesn't resonate with me. There's a satirical nature to this. Like, it's almost poking fun at superheroes in general.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see why people like it for that reason, like the satire, but like, it doesn't really hit with me. It doesn't resonate with me because at the core of it, just don't care about the characters that are in this anime. I can barely remember character names to begin with, and like all their like rankings and stuff. I will say I started enjoying it more in the second half when we got to the Hero Association. So like around episode 6, 7, around there, when the Hero Association started becoming like a major player, and Saitama got upset that he got C rank right instead of an S rank. He was like, "Wait a minute, I got a C rank, and then what's the cyborg's name? Genos.
Yeah.
He got an S rank.
Yeah,
like,
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. It like I started enjoying it a little bit more there, but like overall from start to finish, I didn't enjoy it. The two things I will praise for it, there are some cool fight stuff, like the animation for the fight scenes, fantastic, like just gorgeous to look at. And then I always enjoy when animes are relatively short, 13 episodes, 12 episodes, right? It's 12 episodes.
12 episodes.
Like no real filler. It didn't feel like there were any filler episodes. Granted, I didn't give a shit about the story, so it doesn't really matter. But like that's one thing. Like issue I have with a lot of animes, like My Hero Academia. It has so many fucking episodes, and it's like just get to the point. Give us the important stuff.
Yeah.
Now with My Hero Academia, it kind of works out because I feel like every episode, or virtually a lot of episodes, matter. But I will praise that. Like it did have a really concise nature to it that I appreciated too. It didn't overstay its welcome. Granted, I didn't care for it to begin with. So yeah, those are my top level thoughts. I have a lot more to say, but I just did enjoy it. Like, and it's one of those things that I wanted to enjoy it a lot. I wanted to enjoy this because I know a lot of people love this anime. And I think that's part of the reason why I ultimately didn't enjoy it, was because I was wanting to like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was wanting to get on board and go, yeah, One Punch Man is awesome, and it just didn't hit it for me. So
I could see that. It's interesting because I definitely understand your perspective on it. Now for me, I'll say I thoroughly enjoyed this anime. Just because on the surface level of this anime, it's just basically about the superheroes who are very powerful, some not so powerful, and then you have Saitama, who's basically in essence the most powerful superhero, even though he's not ranked up there because of maybe his inability to take a test or something like that.
Yeah.
But his strength alone, he's the most powerful. But he almost is like a background character in his own show. And so I'll say this, that the heroes, I don't know what it is, whether it be the design or the mysteriousness of the heroes. It's always interesting me. One thing about this, and I'll get more into this when we break it down, where when you think about it, all the interesting things happen when Saitama's not there.
Yeah.
Because Saitama is ultimately the answer to everything. He's ultimately the guy that defeats every single opponent that he comes across, because he is One Punch Man.
Yeah, he just comes in, one punches it, and
it's
does
over.
away with it. Yeah, I think that's part of why I don't like this, to be honest. Because like it's a Deus Ex Machina situation where you just have this one character that can just destroy everything, and it's like it makes it uninteresting for me and doesn't make it exciting for me. But anyway, sorry for jumping in there.
Yeah, no, you're good. But no, so it's funny because I could see why that might not be appealing to some people, and I definitely understand that. For me, I enjoy it so much because the idea, I guess maybe at first when I first initially watched this back, I think about 2-3 years ago, when I watched season 1, I remember at the surface I was just like, oh, it's just this guy. He's always gonna win. There's no conflict there. But on the second viewing, I'm like, oh, everything as far as like the story underneath it, below the surface level is a lot more interesting, because as much as I like Saitama, I found myself more interested in Genos and like his backstory of like him trying to find this killer robot that killed his village and killed the people around him, and trying to figure out who it is. And you're in season 1, you're kind of given hints to like he's looking for this robot who committed this atrocity, but then they're like, is it this robot? Is it this robot? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I can kind of get into a little bit where I think that this anime, why I find it interesting, because it feels like it's kind of I want to say philosophical in a sense, because this anime to me is about conflict, and how conflict, of course, with any story, with any I'll just keep it a story. With any story, it's what makes things interesting. Whereas in a hero's journey, the ultimate thing is to be, I guess, either the best hero, and if like in order to get there, you have to have the conflict of like you have to have an opponent, you have to have someone who's like your equal, your foil, or just whatever. And Saitama is a hero who doesn't have that, and because of that, he's so simple and it's so basic that at times he doesn't seem as interesting. But it's the background characters that tend to have like these small little arcs of like, damn, are they going to be strong enough to kill this alien? Are they going to be strong enough to beat these people because they're not as strong? But it's an interesting, I think, idea on conflict in life. Whereas I want to make sure I get this quote right. There's someone that I was looking up here. Conflict. There's a philosopher by the name of. Sorry, it's taking me a second because I was watching just like some stuff and I can't find it. Hold on.
No worries.
I'll have to come back to it. But the idea of it meaning that Saitama is a hero who has everything, but because he has everything and he has no conflict, it kind of makes it meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's like a philosophical thought of like, well, he's a hero for a hobby. He says all the time in the show where he's like, oh, I do this for fun, but he never has fun doing this at all. Whereas he notices other people who maybe are lower class heroes, like C tiers, like Moomin Rider, where he's like so dedicated to the craft, but he's not as powerful, but he enjoys doing it. There's a moment in I think episode 7 or 8 where they're fighting the Deep Sea King.
Yeah.
And Moomin Rider is like, what is he gonna do? He's not powerful at all, but he comes and he tries to fight. And then eventually, of course, what it tends to happen, Saitama comes in and he saves the day and he kills him, and you see Moomin Rider and he tells Moomin Rider, you should be proud that, you know, you were able to you had the bravery to stand up against this person. And I think it was in a way he was saying that because he was kind of envious, not envious, but like a little jealous of like, damn, like he loves to do this regardless of how strong he is or how weak he is. And so, and so like, I think that's one of the reasons why that I enjoyed it a lot, but I could also definitely understand why that won't be appealing to a lot of people, like you said, just because it's like, it's every time that you're given like this build up with like background characters, it's immediately taken away by Saitama.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it cuts it off like that. But I think in a way it makes it interesting for me that happens, because you're like, wow, this is crazy that, you know, these heroes are fighting. Like there's a big fight at the end of the season when you're Silver Fang, the old S-class hero.
Yeah.
Atomic Samurai, and I can't remember the angel guy, the prisoner name, and then some bat guy. They're all fighting, and it's such a cool fight. Cool animation. And they're all having a struggle while Saitama's on the ship just running through people like it's nothing. He's like on God mode, just running through there, just killing all these aliens and stuff. And there's a lot of moments in that to me that are interesting, that like, are they even going to be able to beat this one person that's so strong, you know? And then they figure out and they do ultimately defeat him. But it's stuff like that to me that make it worth it. And but we can go a little bit deeper. I know I just rambled on for a long time.
It's fine.
But yeah,
I mean, like, I totally get it. And like I said, I understand why people enjoy it. And I wish I could feel that way about it. But like, when you have Saitama come in and like essentially take the win away from the characters that are fighting hard, it feels cheap. And then also, like, for me, outside of Genos and Saitama, for the most part, we don't really explore the backstories of other characters. We just kind of, they're just there. They exist. And I don't know, like, so it made me hard to connect with these characters. Like, I see them struggling and stuff, and I'm like, well, Saitama's just going to come in and win. Like, what the fuck do I care if they lose or win? Like, what does it matter to me? So like, and that's where I'm coming from. It's just like, if the stakes are so low because I know Saitama's going to come in. When does he come in? Sometimes he waits to the last freaking minute, after they're beaten, bloody, and on the ground. And then Saitama's like, hey, I'm here. Sup, done, whatever. It's like, you could have just, it's a Superman situation. How do you make Superman interesting, Yeah. It's the same with Saitama. Like, how do you make Saitama? And I guess the interesting aspect is you have him come in at the end to save the day, but then that feels cheap. So it makes other characters uninteresting and makes their struggle not matter in a lot of ways. And I think you're right with Genos. Like, he is the most interesting character, in my opinion, because of that, his story of him trying to hunt down the robot, or the other cyborg that destroyed his town. And then we got a hint of it that it was what's his name, Metal Knight. Yeah, Metal Knight. At the end of the season and stuff. So So yeah, we should also, you forgot to mention this. We forgot to mention this at the beginning. This is just for season 1.
Yeah, sorry, just for season 1. Just for season 1. Sorry.
So it's too late. If you're already deep in this, we're only talking about season 1. So
we'll put it in the title. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Just for season 1, because season 2 gets a little bit deeper, but still kind of the same One Punch Man. But it has some cool moments from what I remember. But no, I definitely understand that, where Saitama is essentially Superman, and if the movies for actual Superman, it's hard to make a movie with a character that's so OP.
Yeah.
And him be the main thing. Because like I said, just to go back, because I can definitely understand your perspective. I think it's interesting because I guess maybe for me, I think it's enough that all the characters, for one, they all look cool. They almost look so unique, and they give you this.
They do look cool. I will give it that. I think the design for him is really cool. I hate their names though. I hate their fucking names. Their names are god awful, man.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but it's almost like just doing like in a word generator. Like, we're gonna call you Boom, Metal Knight. We're gonna call you Atomic Samurai. Some of them are cool, but it's very interesting. I'll say that it's because this is definitely, I could see this being an anime that is a hit or miss for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Either you're gonna like it and you're gonna enjoy it for the fights, or just whatever, One Punch Man as it is, or you're just gonna dislike it. And I definitely understand that, because it's, I guess maybe a part of me feels like you said, there's no real stakes, but I don't know, I guess for me it's almost enough to have these epic fights. Like, for example, of course, at the end of season 1, Boros, the main alien that comes down with his ship and is like destroying the entire city and parts of the city, he's essentially Saitama's basically foil. He's like his opposite, because he's this alien who was just traveling the galaxy. He was so powerful that eventually got to a point that he got bored as well, and he didn't have anyone that gave him the excitement to fight anymore. And then a fortune teller told him that there was someone, and of course it was Saitama, and that he had been looking and searching the stars to find this place. Eventually he finds him, and the fight scene is crazy. It's epic, and he's just saying like, "Oh, I'm getting excited fighting." And Saitama, the way that it's kind of like shown, it looks like he's actually like, this is like a formidable foe. But ultimately at the end, of course, Saitama wins when he gets serious. Boros, he says something to the effect of, he's like, wow, like, something, I'm excited or whatever. He's like, but to be honest, you weren't even trying. You were going easy on me. And then he goes, yeah. But like, it's funny because he got excited, but then Boros, when he was excited, but then he realized that he actually wasn't even giving his all. He was like, damn, like, you're just too strong. Almost, and that's kind of, I almost felt like a little lie. Like, we get it, he's super strong, but it's super epic, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's super cool. The one thing that I do wish, which I can't remember from what I remember watching season 2, when they do kind of like focus on the background characters a lot more, even if they're like A class. I don't even think I know too many B class characters, because they kind of skip over B. But
B class,
C class, C class characters, they are a lot more interesting. And like, there's I actually have the classes here. There's one character that to me is interesting because he's very mysterious. His name's Sweet Mask, the guy with the blue hair.
Yeah.
The guy who, he says that he can be an S, but he decides to stay in A to prevent horrible heroes going up to S class. He's a very interesting character because I think he's probably a bit of a crazy.
He's a bit of a crazy. Okay.
He's a bit of a crazy, and just because I think he talks as if he's like, I'm all about justice, and you see kind of a glimpse of it whenever they capture some the alien soldiers, and he just walks up to them and he slices all their heads off, and he's like, nope, we had to kill him right there and right now, and everybody's like kind of shaken,
bro.
But other than that, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like, I don't know. So you kind of hinted at this, and so I do want to ask this question, and this is about season 2. So they do explore some of the background characters in season 2 and stuff.
Yeah, I know they do on one of them. Vividly remember that they explore. You get to learn more about King. He's one of the S-class characters.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you'd be happy with like what happens. But
like, yeah,
just because it's like a build up, and then it kind of, in the way that One Punch Man is, it kind of goes into a different route. I don't want to spoil it, but
yeah. Okay, no worries. I mean, chances of me watching it, unless it's like unless you pick this for your next anime, season 2 for your next anime, there's very little chance I'm going to watch any more One Punch Man. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
for the sake of people watching, we don't need to spoil anything.
Exactly, but yeah, they break down a little bit more. There's the way that season 2 goes on, it does get a little bit more epic as far as like the fights. So if you liked season 1, season 2, I think people, if you enjoyed it, you'll enjoy season 2 because the fights do get bigger, and it's like they have that that tier system whenever it comes to threat levels. They have like tiger, they have dragon, and then they have like god, which is like basically end of humanity. And there's a lot of like dragon level, even god level threats from what I remember, which make it pretty cool. But
okay. And one thing I want to talk about too, and this is something I've been realizing about anime the more I watch, and it just stood out to me with One Punch Man, and like reflecting on it, I'm like, yeah, this is a issue that I have with like Dragon Ball as well. When these big epic fights are happening, they happen in almost like an empty world. I shouldn't say empty world because there's like buildings and stuff and all that, but like. Yeah. It's always like there's the void of life. It's just the heroes fighting the villains type thing, and I'm like, always like, where's everybody else? And like they don't do this in Dragon Ball very often, but like in One Punch Man, they do say, "Oh, we evacuated this part of town and stuff." Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but you couldn't have gotten everybody, right? And it always feels weird to me, like when they're fighting in the city, destroying things. It's like, but what happens next? Are they gonna rebuild? Like
exactly.
It's a weird thing that I became hyper fixated on because I watched another anime, Parasite. If you know what Parasite is.
Oh yeah.
Where they did, I feel like they really do a really good job of incorporating like the Tokyo itself into the story. Are they in Tokyo? I can't remember, but like I feel like they do a really good job of incorporating the city itself into the storyline and crap and. Things get destroyed and people respond to it. But it feels like in One Punch Man, parts of a city gets destroyed, they move on, nobody responds to it, and everybody pretends like, oh, everything's fine. It's like, I don't know. It was weird because like Parasite made me realize, oh yeah, this is weird. Because again, in Parasite, they are responding to these things happening and not just living in a void in a way. So it's like, it's a weird thing that I've become hyper fixated on in animes. Because even Spy Family does a fairly good job of people responding to the just barely, but there is a response to it in some episodes. So
I kind of akin it to. I kind of feel like that's where One Punch Man is kind of at times feels like it's almost. It has moments where it feels like it's making fun of anime. It's making fun of itself.
And I think that's where the satire comes from. When I mentioned,
I was gonna say that because there are moments in the anime that kind of like in the first viewing I didn't really pay attention to it, but in the second viewing where I want to say I can't remember which alien it was or which monster it was, but basically like one of the cities got destroyed completely as it usually does, and then I think in the newspaper there was a shot of a newspaper and you could read it and it said that the heroes save the day, and then all of a sudden someone just says and the city's forgotten. And so they kind of they say it to that, and it almost feels like they kind of just chalk it up to well, hey, this happens. Price of
that's that's a lot of people dying and cities going away. It's like exactly. I don't know. Again, it's something I became hyper fixated on. And I was just like, man, this is something that I realize I don't enjoy about animes.
Yeah, I'd say the closest,
it's weird.
I would say the closest that it got to, I think that. Had it to where people kind of responded was the episode with the Deep Sea King, where all those people were in that arena, and of course the arena's starting to get destroyed, and they're like, "We're about to die," and then Genos comes and he tries to fight and stuff, and basically all the people are watching this fight going on, and so that's like I think the closest it came to, because like every other time, I think they're like, "All right, I guess we just moved to another part of the city or something."
Yeah, we're just gonna go. We'll go. We are go to city. We're gonna go to city Y right now. Like it's the farthest from all the fighting. Let's go over there. Shit, the fighting showed up over here. I guess we're going over to city Q. I don't know. It's weird.
I always wonder what the cost of living there. It must be so cheap to live there, just because it's always getting destroyed. But I think that, let me make sure, because I think I had like one or two more things. Let me see. No, I think, well, no, this actually might be a short episode, but to me overall, like I said, this is definitely an anime that you either like it or you won't like it. Because I guess maybe the reason why I like it is because it doesn't take itself too serious. But there are moments I do have to catch myself where I feel like it's going to get serious. Like, for example, they mentioned it in season 1 where they talk about there's an episode where, of course, before the Boros comes at the very end, and all the S rank heroes are meeting. Yeah. And there's 2 heroes that are missing. Blast, who's the number 1 S rank hero, and then Metal Knight, who's not there. And it's like a bit of like what they do good with the music, where it's like, where are these guys? Why didn't they show up? Why didn't they bother to show up? And I'm pretty sure there's like story in the manga that they just haven't done for the anime, because they haven't made a season 3 at all yet. But it's interesting because Metal Knight a lot in season 1 gets a little bit of a like a little nod, like something's not right about Metal Knight, And also, I'll say that it's I find it funny that a lot of these heroes sometimes don't feel like heroes in a sense. They almost feel like they have stolen valor, like as far as like, are they really good guys, or are they really that strong? Because a lot of times the S rank heroes kind of feel like, well, I'm not going to go do this because I have other errands to go run, and somebody else is going to handle this. I won't have to do that. But overall, like I said, I like this anime a lot. I think it's pretty fun, and it's just senseless fighting, and
it's senseless fighting, and the more I watch anime, the more I realize that's not for me. Like, it's just not. It's fine, and again, I understand why people get into it. I understand why people like it. It's just, this is definitely not an anime for me, and I have absolutely no interest in exploring anything beyond what we have unless you make me. And if you make me, I will do it in protest.
That's so funny. But lastly, I'll say this before at the end of the episode, did we want to mention the next anime we're gonna watch?
Yeah, I'll take that away here. So the next anime for May is one that is near and dear to my heart. It is a reimagining of one of my favorite animes of all time, which is Trigun. We're gonna be looking at Trigun Stampede, which is a anime that appeared this season at the top of the year, and it's only 13 episodes, I believe. 12 episodes, 13 episodes. A season 2 has already been confirmed. Nice. And so I cannot wait to talk about Trigun Stampede. I absolutely love Trigun, the original run back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I want to say. Yeah. I remember watching it when I was in high school, and it's an anime I still love today. It's an anime that I can still watch and enjoy, which is weird because like there's only 2 animes from like that I watched, well, 3 when I watched as a high school kid, middle school kid watching anime. There's only 3 animes I still enjoy from back then: Trigun, Full Metal Alchemist, and Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I don't really like Dragon Ball anymore. Never really got into Naruto beyond the little bit of Naruto that I watched, and I don't think I've watched Bleach in ages. And then I feel like Inuyasha is a fever dream. So is that anime still going? Is it like One Piece? Did it ever end?
No, I think it did end. It did end.
I couldn't remember. I just remember Inuyasha being a cat dude, right? He's a cat, something like that.
Yeah, a cat, something like that. Some spirit or something. I don't remember.
Fox spirit, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, Trigun Stampede though is a beautiful sort of reimagining of the anime. And they're using CG animation rather than the traditional like hand-drawn stuff. And a lot of people have complained about the Trigun animation. For me, I absolutely love it. But we'll talk more about it next month in May, because you still need to watch it, El. So
yep, I do. So that'll be the next one that I watch. And
before we go to, we have one more thing we have to do, which is ranking One Punch Man for our individual list. I will go first. I am putting it, since we've only watched 4 animes so far, it is at number 4 for me. Again, it's below Spy X Family. Just didn't enjoy it. I foresee this being at the bottom of my list. I jokingly showed you my list yesterday where it was at 12. Because theoretically, we'll have 12 animes by the end of the year. But yeah, so One Punch Man right now is at 4. To give a recap of my list, Bocchi the Rock is number 1. Your Lie in April is number 2. 3 is Spy Family. And then 4 is One Punch Man. Elle, where are you putting your list on your list? Do you need me to run through the list real quick for you?
No. I think if I remember correctly, I originally had Spy X Family, Bocchi, and then Your Lie in April?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. So for me, of course, as you just heard the discussion, I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is actually going to number 1 for me, where it's
disgusting.
One Punch Man. Everything basically moves down a rank. So One Punch Man, then Spy X, and then Bocchi, and then Your Lie in April.
Ugh,
and so
disgusting. I'm gonna vomit.
I think it's just, I just fell in love a lot with the philosophical thought of humans needing conflict and how beautiful it makes life.
Yeah.
And so One Punch Man does a great job of that, I think, and the superheroes are so cool to me. But yeah, other than that, it's number 1 for me.
Awesome. There we go. Thank you all so much for joining us. Elle, do you want to round us down with the social media stuffs?
Yes, everybody, thanks for tuning in to Review Please Anime Edition of One Punch Man. Like I said, you'll catch us at the end of next month with the next anime Trigun. What was
Stampede.
it? Stampede. Thank you. And you'll catch us then. But be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon on our YouTube to be notified of videos when they come out. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Respawn Please Podcast for clips, videos, just whatever. And come follow us. Join us.
I hope you all enjoy One Punch Man.